How's it going?
That's good. It's going. It's going. How are you guys?
We're
Well,
doing
not too bad. We're trying to analyze all these charts. We were looking at a few. We were thinking about you and talking about you. Were your ears ringing here this morning? Because we were talking about big numbers
Yeah,
that jump out at you. And then we had a few of them.
I noticed that. Coca-Cola. Yeah, looks like the VP is thinking big numbers too.
I think a VP reloaded at 41 here again. He's trying
Could be.
161,000 shares there for sale in the book. So he was there
That's
once. He
crazy.
might be there again. If he's selling,
Yeah, just
I'm not buying.
isn't that the truth? So, but it's pretty much a spin cycle. If you look at the indexes, gosh, I'm just you're just getting chewed alive. I mean, there's really no trades in the indexes unless you enjoy getting chewed alive. So, where are the trades? I see a lot more structure, long and short, in individual stocks. We should have shorted that Walmart the moment we were talking about it last week. And here we thought, what, you're going to get 1 or 2 points out of it? Wham! It got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of names like that, a lot of big names doing stuff like that. Walmart, Caterpillar, Deere. So, they get slammed, wait for them to stage a snapback rally, and, get ready to short them.
Yeah, look at that cat chart there from yesterday, Harlan. Totally agree with you. I actually had it written down to talk about. We were up there 105, and we just broke down hard yesterday, all the way down to $100.72. We did pop a buck here, but that looks broken now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Big picture, all of those names are broken. Cat, Deere, Walmart. So, what do you do in this case? For me, I'm looking for them to snap back, put in a bear channel, and then if they do that, hey, great. Those are names that are going to hit really high on my shopping list. But not right now. In this market, strength does get bought, weakness does get bought, but, this is damaged goods. There's no doubt about it. So it's not time yet, kind of like Paul Masson said, never buy a wine before it's time. Same deal here.
okay.
So let them snap back, give them a week or so. If they put in some bear channels in here, then we can put them high on the shopping list. So
Couple stocks out
of
couple stocks out of the chat here that we'd like you to take a look at first and get the Harlan take. PRAA. Let me see what that is. Portfolio Recovery Associates. Are you looking for this to recover soon? Because that is one ugly looking. Harlan's going to say stay away, right, Harlan?
Yeah, I don't see it. It should just jump out at you. Here too, if it puts in a bear channel over the next week or two, then I take a look at it. But right now, if you're going to short this thing, you're late to the party, obviously. And if you're going to go long this name, there's really no pattern to work off of. If there was a pattern that I could work off of here on the long side, then I'd look at it. So, but it should just jump out at you.
I'll give you a pattern here.
Out at you.
I'll give you a pattern
What's
here.
that?
I said I'll give you a pattern here. 50, you had a double top, 51.19, 51.34, and then you had the huge gap up and ran. Now you came back and you filled that gap nicely yesterday, got a little bounce of it. I like to, I'm just talking from a strict risk-reward ratio here. If this thing can hold 50, hit 50.29 over the next day or two, you might get a chance to you got to retrace some of this move from 59, don't you?
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. And then another one coming out of this chat here is OVTI. Do you follow that one at all?
I was looking at it last week.
Okay, what's your take?
I was looking at it last week. Well, look at it. It hit a peak late April, pulled back off its highs right down to the 50-day moving average, about 1850-ish. And, you could say it's pulling back off highs, but the only thing that keeps me from liking it even more so than the overall pattern, it's really sloppy in here, real jumpy. Every time, it pops, it gets sold off. Every time it drops, it gets bought up. And the whole net result is it's just a wide, loose pullback off highs pattern. So, I have nothing bad against it. I just rather find something that's tighter, that doesn't whipsaw you around while it's building a pattern.
Okay, and then just one.
You'd like to see something orderly.
Yeah.
Tighten up, nice
Oh,
and orderly.
okay, and then one more coming out of the chat here. AGCO. You're not gonna like that chart, Harlan. I could tell right away.
Yeah. Uh,
It's a 54 level kind of jumps out at me a little bit here, and you just broke down yesterday. I wonder if you tried it from the short side around to the 54 area. I don't know. This looks thin though too.
Yeah, this one.
I like if you line up your tops over the last since first of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Line up your tops since first of the month. It's one could say it's an orderly pullback in there. Line up your tops, draw a line across those tops. If it crosses over to the upside, that could be a trade with yesterday's lows as your stop level. So a little bit better, a little bit tighter. I don't like that it's below the 50-day and struggling, but there's no such thing as a perfect stock.
Okay, and
what you're looking for, while we're on that stock though, what you're really looking for is look at the March highs.
Yeah.
See how nice and tight and orderly it pulled back there, right into the March lows.
Okay.
Line up those tops, bam, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a pattern like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's eerily similar to that. That the way it came.
Exactly.
Yeah. When it came off the 56 and change level down to 53, it kind of has that pattern. Moving on to one of the big boys here, and boy, I caught a lot of flack. I just expressed some caution in Apple ahead of the record date and the split, and boy, I really upset some people. Harlan, what's your take on Apple?
Well, Apple's Apple, and I look at it this way. You gapped up hard, gapped up huge, and for the most part, it's been bouncing between the 580, 600 level, and you got a little bit of strength yesterday when the market got weak, which is to be expected because it makes up a huge percentage of the indexes. So sometimes they use that to prop the damage being done underneath. Because of its heavy weighting. That's my view on that. But for right now, I'm pretty neutral on it. It's not something I'd buy right here. It's not something I definitely short. I think I need to see some chart time, and I'm just not seeing it yet.
Yeah, I'll give
Bigger is better. Bigger chart time, bigger the move.
Traders for Apple, two closes, 604.59, 604.71. Two closes within 20 cents of each other, actually within 12 cents of each other. Trading below that in the pre-market, I'd use that as a resistance point. Boy, GM, they just can't get out of the way of themselves with the recalls. It's actually to the point now when they announce a recall that they don't even hit the stock because they think they're just talking about the previous recall that they did.
You got all the recalls.
But it really hasn't seemed to affected Fords.
Gives new meaning to Fast and Furious.
Yeah. What about Fords?
GM, by the way, it just it should jump out at you, and there ain't nothing on that chart that I see that just it gets me excited one way or another. So Ford, it's kind of sideways. It's just kind of chewing around between 1540 and call it 1620. Could be building a triangle in here.
Okay. All right. And Dennis, you got some issues you want to throw at Harlan here?
Well, Jake Rooney from the chat is asking about the SPY. We always talk about the E-mini futures. We don't give any love to SPY. Let's look at the chart of the SPY. It's obviously going to look the same as the E-mini futures. But what's your thoughts on the spider there, Harlan?
Well, overall, we are having a hard time going below the 50-day, for one thing. Line up your lows from the end of April, the beginning of May, and just recently, like 4 days ago. That's your support. It's a little trend line there. So for me, that's support and the 50 days. So, this is what I meant by, this is just, it's the spin cycle. It's just kind of chewing you around in here. If you're looking to make some headway with it, it's not really allowing you to make headway. And then by the same token, line up your tops. I'm going to say 88.5 there at the end of April, and line up your tops. You get a nice little trend channel building here. That's really about all I can say with the spiders.
What about Netflix here, Harlan? I'm looking at this chart. Obviously, the stock has been absolutely killed from March down to May. It went from the 460 area all the way down to kissing just under $300. Now we're bouncing back here, and there's a couple things coming into play. The whole Joel likes the 50% retracement, which is close. But then I'm looking at that 380 level from April 22nd, where we got up to, and now we're only 5 points away from that 380 level here again. Do you think there's potential we could get resistance where we found it before on April 22nd?
Wouldn't surprise me. When you look at a chart, those two numbers jump out at you, the 380 and then the 300 level. So it's a wide, loose, sloppy, all over the place type of stock. I mean, if you want to be a glutton for emotional punishment, this is the name over the last month or two that's really preyed on your emotions. But, 380 is obviously, going to be a resistance level. But by the same token, that 300, the funny thing is, in the face of fear, that was your trade.
Yeah.
It's really hard to want to buy something that's just gone from, 380 to 300, especially if you're long that name, because the fear in you is just so strong that I'm not touching this. I want out. I'm not buying it. So it really all depends on who you are and who you choose to be and whether you're in it or not. But for me, 380, that's resistance. So how much more upside is that? Not much. But by the same token, maybe it can come right back down to the 200-day at 348, 350. So again, this is another one. If I saw a nice pullback off highs type pattern, then I'd look at it.
All right, I got a tough one for you.
Too much.
NEWL. They got a new ship, and they're just going absolutely crazy here. They went from a nickel to
a nickel to $4.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Ace is going with his 3-day rule, maybe looking to short it later in the day. I just this one, I mean, you're rolling the dice with this one, Harlan, right?
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I do agree with Ace, though, on the 3-day rule. I have a saying on the third to fourth day, expect a reversal, meaning third to fourth day down, expect a reversal up, third to fourth day up, expect a reversal to the downside. Whether they follow through is another story, but, it tends to work. I've seen stocks more often than not. After 3-4 days, they either stall out and reverse or they just kind of sit there. So I'm not, I'm agreeing with both of you guys.
Okay.
Everybody's looking for a reversal. I just wonder the short if this thing's easy to borrow here or not, because I've got short interest, and I'm not sure how many shares are outstanding, but I do have 572,000 shares worth of short interest there. So that seems like a lot. So I just wonder how tough the borrow is here.
Yeah, but you know what? Look at the volume yesterday. 54 million shares traded.
Yeah, so it doesn't maybe come into play. I'm just wondering how easy the borrow is, though. I'm wondering if it's an easy borrow still, though, too. I'm just looking here, actually. Go on here. I'm going to try to find out how easy this is to borrow.
All right. Moving on to some other stocks. Goldman Sachs had some excellent earnings a while ago, and it's just been range bound. Can you find any reason to get involved in this issue? We've traded between 155 and 160 here. A little bit of blips above and below here. What do you think? Just for Goldman here, what do you think? You got a lower risk buy entry here? Would you rather see it buying on strength breaks above the 160 level?
Well, I think you pretty well nailed it. It is range bound. It is very sloppy here. This is another one that's in the spin cycle, and it's just going to chew you alive until it breaks. I don't like the wide and loose part of it, but I can agree with you on the 160, because if it can break out of this, range bound trade here, maybe it could go run. But guess what? The 200-day is at 163. And change, so it may have a little bit of trouble there. If you line up your tops off the March highs, you're probably gonna, in order to do that, in order to break the 160, you got to bust through that downtrend channel or downtrend line off the March highs. So, it's just a wide and loose. I'm not going to disagree with you. I don't like to get thrown into the spin cycle unnecessarily, but until it breaks, there's really not a lot to talk about.
Okay. All right. And
So
just moving on to the Twitter sphere here. I think we did see an upgrade
let's
of.
look at Twitter. I actually wanted to talk about
Okay.
Twitter today because you guys are not going to believe this. I actually like Twitter here.
You
Oh,
do, eh? This is
oh,
like a little pullback from the little relief rally that we've had, the little 50%
Yep,
pullback.
see it?
Yeah, I do. I
Nice
kind of do
and
see
nice
what you're
and
talking
tight.
about. Yeah, it's winding
It
up, and so
it
I'm going to give you that. It's ready to go one way or another, and I think a lot of people still hate this stock, so I could kind of get
right.
on board with you there for a short-term trade.
uh,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all it is a trade. Just, line up your off the recent peak from 5, 6 days ago, draw a line across those highs. If it crosses over to the upside, you can take the trade, your stop, and you break into a new low sub 30
right.
or where, today's
29.51.
lows. So,
Yeah, I was looking at this one too, and it had the run up. You've had a 4.5 point move off the 29.59 low. You take half of that, you add it to 29.51. You come in at the 31.80 level. You've had a couple lows, 31.52, 31.64. I mean, this just might be that there's no sellers left. You know what I mean? If you could get a
right.
rally that there's nothing fundamentally that's going to drive it higher, and these upgrades have done nothing for the stock. So this just maybe one where just the sellers get tired. You get one or two big funds that want to come in and scoop up the stock, and you get a move. But yeah, this 31.50 level trading up a little bit in the pre-market. I like to see it come back down there, maybe to the close. I mean, I wouldn't give it a lot. I wouldn't be for a day trade. Obviously, you want to give it down to the 29.51 level, but maybe give it, 20, 30, 40 cents. And then, you got a little spoo rally going. You never know what could get it going.
Yeah, see, it looks really good versus a falling knife.
Yeah,
I mean, trying to
not,
pick it
yeah.
up there on weakness, you just can't do it.
Yeah, now it's just like someone's just holding a knife like above your head. It's not falling anymore. You know what I mean?
Right?
Okay.
Right.
What about
Well,
going in some of these other momos here? Facebook. Just haven't heard a lot about it. Just kind of been quiet, meandering here. I guess you could make a case here. Been trading 57.50 to 60 here. You more apt to try and pick a bottom here and lean on the 57.50 level, or would you rather see it break above 60?
I actually bought some yesterday or the day before at 50. I think I own it at 58 and a quarter. So, I'm right in the middle of the zone. And, you can see this whole pattern off the April lows. They've had every opportunity
Crack
thus
it.
far to crack it, and they haven't. So that ought to tell you something. The other side is it is wide and loose in this. But, the market is what the market is. It doesn't really care that we want these nice tight patterns like Twitter are showing. You got to trade what you see. The 50 day is probably going to, 200 day is probably going to act as support. So, your downside, right around 55. And in between, it's just kind of looking like it's building a triangle. And that triangle off the April highs and the April lows is where it starts. It's going to break one way or another. If it breaks to the downside, well, guess what? It's probably going back to test the 200 day. If it breaks to the upside, who knows? Maybe back up into that 63 zone, but it's got to clear the 50 day at 61.31.
Would you
So
mind?
I don't really have a problem with it.
Would you mind sharing your risk reward ratio on the Facebook for us? Is it a hard stop and a hard target, or is it something if it starts moving your way, you'll start moving your stop? Just to give us a little idea of your parameters in trading.
Well, look at it this way. I'm going to call this name more of a fluctuation risk. If I bought it in here at 58, my fluctuation risk based upon support is the 200 day, meaning, it can come down to the 200 day and still be okay. The difference is I'd be down in the stock about 3 points. So for me, I'm not always so much going to use percentage stop losses. I want to see where support is. I want to see what my fluctuation risk is in the event that the stock doesn't take off. It's managing the unknown. So another story is if the stock takes off and, goes on a run higher, well, guess what? It's easier to raise your stop. And then you can say, all right, I'm going to raise my stop up to break even.
Okay.
So, and you keep trailing them and scaling them.
Okay. Harlan Pyan here talking about some popular issues in the market as well as his trading strategies. You can find Harlan here on Benzinga's pre-market prep, brought to you by Options House on Wednesday at 8:35. He promptly picks up the phone. Harlan, thanks for your input today. We'll keep an eye on your suggestions, and we'll talk to you next week.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Take care.